Hello everyone. Today we're going to be studying filial piety and Confucianism. I wanted to give you a little bit more assistance with what filial piety is and some suggestions on how you might complete your homework. So this is your homework for the week. You can see that filial piety is defined as respect for your parents and elders. And so what we're looking at here is I'm asking you to practice this idea of respecting your parents and elders. Filial piety is a key teaching of Confucianism, and we're going to be studying Confucianism, which was started by Confucius later in the week. So hopefully as you listen to this video and do your homework, you'll have a better understanding of what Confucius was teaching. So what I'm asking you to do this week is to conduct 5 secret acts of filial piety towards your parents or other adults. So what that means is you want to show respect for them in a variety of ways. So things students have done in the past are cleaning their room without being asked, or putting the dishes away after dinner, or helping to make dinner, but not telling them why. So remember, these are supposed to be secret, okay? So you don't want to tell them why you're doing these things. Just do them and see what they say. And so what I'm asking you to do is to record your answers. Record what you do and how your elder reacts, okay? It doesn't have to be your parent. It can be an older sibling. It can be a teacher at school or any adult at school. And how do they react? And what we're going to find is that Confucius teaches that if more people practice filial piety, then most people will react positively and society will have more order. So we want to keep those things in mind.
Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. This is test the piety system. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
The second part of your homework is to read some of the writings of Confucius from his book, The Analects, and to answer some questions. So I'm going to read this out loud to you. You can play this again when you're ready to do the reading and questions, so that if you find it easier to understand something when it's read out loud.
This is a test the piety system. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
So you'll be able to play this again when it's time for you to do the reading. So it says, primary source, the master, Confucius, said.
Testing piety system. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
I'm sorry, let's try that again. The master Confucius said, don't worry if people don't recognize your merits. Worry that you may not recognize theirs. Merits are good qualities about you, so things that you do really well. So he's saying, don't worry if they don't see them in you, make sure you see them in others. The master said, to study without thinking is futile or useless. To think without studying is dangerous. Lord Ji Kong asked, what should I do in order to make the people respectful, loyal, and zealous? Zealous means excited. The master said, approach them with dignity, and they will be respectful. Be yourself a good son and a kind father, and they will be loyal. Raise the good and train the incompetent, and they will be zealous. Incompetent is a word that means people that don't quite understand how to do something. So here what he's saying is basically be a good role model. So show people how you want them to behave, educate them on the right way to do things, and they will. The master said, authority without generosity, ceremony without reverence, mourning without grief. These I cannot bear to contemplate. He can't even think about somebody behaving in some of these ways. The master said, don't worry if you are without a position. Worry lest you do not deserve a position. So a position in the government, a high social status. Don't worry about that. Worry about whether or not you really deserve it. Do not worry if you are not famous. Worry lest you do not deserve to be famous. So what he's saying here is don't worry so much about the status, right? Status is not what's important. Earning that status is what's important. So keep working hard, keep educating yourself. That's what's important.
Test the piety system. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. This is a test of the piety system. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
The master said, without ritual, courtesy is tiresome. Without ritual, prudence is timid. Without ritual, bravery is quarrelsome. Without ritual, frankness is hurtful. When gentlemen treat their kin generously, kin is family, common people are attracted to goodness. When old ties are not forgotten, common people are not fickle. Fickle means to change your mind. So what he's saying here is that you need to follow particular rituals, traditions. If something's been important in history, keep making it important. If it's worked in the past, it should work now. And people will respect you for being generous and kind and remembering that history. Sing Gong asked, is there any single word that could guide one's entire life? The master said, should it not be reciprocity? Now that's kind of a hard word, but he goes on to define it here. He says, what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others. So this is something that's very familiar to us. In the West, we call this the golden rule. Don't do something to someone else that you wouldn't want done to you. And that sort of summarizes Confucius's teachings.
Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
Okay, so go ahead and answer the questions about the document and be ready to hand your homework in later in the week. Thank you.